Is it possible that you met Virginia Roberts, dined with her, danced with her in Tramp, had sex with her on another date?
No.
Do you remember meeting her at all?
No.
Do you know you didn't meet her, or do you just not remember meeting her?
No, I don't know if I've met her, but no, I have no recollection of meeting her.
Because she was very specific. She described the dance that you had together in Tramp. She described meeting you. She was a 17-year-old girl meeting a senior member of the royal family.
This is everything. The only solace for me is that when a group of people who've experienced trauma of this kind come together united against a common enemy, there's a very special bond between us all.
Never happened.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
How do you explain that?
I can't. Because I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
Do you recognise yourself in the photo?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult not to recognise yourself.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
I think it's, from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. So it's very difficult to be able to prove it. But I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
But it's possible that it was you with your arm around
That's
her
me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, but I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken.
A painful bond shared among these 6 women, sitting together for the first time for an exclusive interview with NBC News.
I find it very comforting to be here.
Marika Chartouni, Anushka DeGiorgio, and Rachel K. Benavidez sharing their stories about Epstein for the first time on television.
I think the nature of this kind of abuse means that you're conditioned to be silent, to be isolated, secretive, and shameful.
The world has now seen the photo that Virginia Roberts provided, taken by Epstein, we understand, in Ghislaine Maxwell's house.
Well, here's the problem. I've never seen Epstein with a camera in my life.
I think it was Virginia Roberts' camera. She said a little Kodak one that she lent to Epstein. He took a photo, and your arm is round her waist.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. I don't remember going upstairs in the house, because that photograph is taken upstairs. And I'm not entirely convinced that, I mean, that is what I would describe as me in that picture, but we can't be certain as to whether or not that's my hand on her, whatever it is, left side.
You think that...
Because I have no recollection of that photograph ever being taken.
So why would somebody have put in another hand? You think it is you next to her in the photo?
Oh, it's definitely me. I mean, that's a picture of me. It's not a picture of. I don't believe it's a picture of me in London, because when I go out in London, I wear a suit and a tie. That's what I would describe as those are my travelling clothes if I'm going overseas. So I've got plenty of photographs of me dressed in those sorts of, sort of kit, but not there.
Just to clarify, so you think that photo has been faked?
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
And you don't recollect having your hand round her waist in Ghislaine Maxwell's house on any occasion, even if it was a different date?
I'm terribly sorry, but if I, as a member of the royal family, and I have a photograph taken, and I take very, very few photographs, I am not one to, as it were, hug, and public displays of affection are not something that I do. So that's the best explanation I can give you. And I'm afraid to say that I don't believe that photograph was taken in the way that has been suggested.
Why would people not believe that you were there?
I'm sorry, why would?
I'm just trying to understand. There's a photo inside Ghislaine Maxwell's house. Ghislaine herself is in the background. Why would people not believe that you were there with her that night?
They might well wish to believe it, but the photograph is taken upstairs, and I don't think I ever went upstairs in Ghislaine's house.
I feel like, it was a big game for him, and we were the pieces of his game.
And you're like, I'm just not going to say anything because that's what he told me to do.
The women all have familiar stories of grooming, promises, and then sexual assault.
I can relate to pretty much every person sitting here next to me.
You're sure of that?
Yeah, because the dining room and everything was on the ground floor. It was as you came in the hall. So I don't remember ever going up there. I'm at a loss to explain this particular photograph. If the original was ever produced, then perhaps we might be able to solve it, but I can't.
You can say categorically that you don't recall meeting Virginia Roberts, dining with her, dancing with her at Tramp, or going on to have sex with her in a bedroom in a house in Belgravia.
I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened.
Do you recall any kind of sexual contact with Virginia Roberts then or any other time?
None whatsoever.
Because she said in a legal deposition, a legal court document in 2015, she had sex with you 3 times. Yeah. She is not confused about this. She said the first was in London when she was trafficked to you. The second was at Epstein's mansion in New York.
That is a date in April, I believe. Is that correct?
She said it was a month or so later.
Yeah. Well, I think that the date that we have for that shows that I was in Boston. Or I was in New York the previous day, and I was at a dinner for the Outward Bound Trust in New York, and then I flew up to Boston the following day. And then on the day that she says that this occurred, they'd already left to go to the island before I got back from Boston. So I don't think that could have happened at all. There
was a witness there, Johanna Stolberg, who says that you did visit the house in that month.
I probably did. I don't think, on one of the weird things, I was staying with the, because of what I was doing, I was staying with the Consul General, which is further down the street on 5th. So I wasn't staying there. I may have visited.
Why would she be saying those things?
We wonder exactly the same, but I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
She made these claims in a US deposition.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying you don't believe her? She's lying?
That's a very difficult thing to answer, because I'm not in a position to know what she's trying to achieve, but I can tell you categorically, I don't remember meeting her at all. I do not remember a photograph being taken, and I've said consistently and frequently that we never had any sort of sexual contact whatever.
Virginia Roberts-Giuffre says Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her one summer when she was working as a locker room attendant at Mar-a-Lago. In her first broadcast interview, Virginia tells NBC News what she has previously alleged in court filings, that Epstein directed her to also have sex with a number of powerful men, among them Britain's Prince Andrew.
He was an abuser. He was a participant.
Virginia says she was 17 when this photo was taken with the prince in Maxwell's London townhome, next to the bathroom where she says he sexually abused her.
What happened?
The first time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey, and Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein."
She spoke about you outside the court in August of this year. Mm-hmm. She said, I quote, "He knows exactly what he's done, and I hope he comes clean about it."
And the answer is nothing.
So if Virginia Roberts is watching this interview, what is your message to her?
I don't have a message for her. Because I have to have a thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of allegations, then I've just got to have a thick skin and get on with it. But they never happened.
For the record, is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences?
No. And without putting too fine a point on it, if you're a man, it is a positive act to have sex with somebody. You have to take some sort of positive action. And so therefore, if you try to forget, it's very difficult to try and forget positive action. And I do not remember anything. I've racked my brain and thinking, oh, well, when the allegations came out originally, I went, well, that's a bit strange, I don't remember this. And then I've been through it and through it and through it over and over and over again. And no, nothing. Never happened.
I couldn't believe it.
Virginia says the abuse moved from the bathroom to a bedroom.
He wasn't rude or anything about it. He said, thank you, and some kind of soft sentiments like that, and left. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
She says Prince Andrew abused her 2 more times, once in New York in Epstein's mansion, and again at his Virgin Islands estate.
Prince Andrew, of course, denies that this ever happened.
He denies that it ever happened, and He's going to keep denying that it ever happened, but he knows the truth, and I know the truth.
What do you say if people think this is about money for you, that you're trying to get money and have gotten money?
Well, unfortunately, there's this horrible law called statute of limitations. My lawyer said the way to get Ghislaine Maxwell held accountable, the way to get Jeffrey Epstein held accountable, is through them saying I'm a liar, which I'm not. So it's called a defamation suit.
Like all others she's named, Prince Andrew has denied the allegations. Buckingham Palace telling NBC News in a statement, "It is emphatically denied that the Duke of York had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Virginia Roberts. Any claim to the contrary is false and without foundation."
Epstein's housekeeper, also in a Florida court legal deposition, said that you visited the Palm Beach residence around 4 times a year. You got a daily massage.
4 times a year?
That was what he said in a Florida court legal deposition.
No.
I'm just wondering, when you look back now, is there a chance that those massages might have been the services of someone who was being sexually exploited or trafficked by Epstein?
No. I don't think, I mean, no, definitely not. Definitely not. And I definitely did not visit his Palm Beach house 3 or 4 times a year. Absolutely not.
How many times would you say you visited?
In total, probably 4 times. In total, throughout the time that I knew him. In fact, probably that was the place that if you see what I mean, he was in the house more there than in other places that I was.
So that's where you'd find him.
But it was usually because I was going through and on somewhere else. So it was a day. That was it.
You said in your statement from the palace,
Yep.
at no time did I see, witness or suspect any suspicious behaviour.
Yep.
Virginia Roberts' legal team says you could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on.
Maxwell has not been criminally charged and has repeatedly denied the accusations against her.
What does justice look like to you now?
Justice now is holding accountable the perpetrators that helped him and participated with him, and encouraging more people to come forward so we can try to put this puzzle together and understand how it happened. How did this happen for so long? How did he get away with it?
These are questions many of these women have asked, especially now, after Epstein's suicide in jail, awaiting trial on child sex trafficking and conspiracy charges.
I feel let down, that he was able to commit suicide. Yeah, it was really upsetting.
They failed us before. Don't fail us again.
Exactly.
That's all we're asking. Take us serious. We matter.
You could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on.
If you are somebody like me, then people behave in a subtly different way. You wouldn't, first of all, I'm not looking for it. That's the thing. If you're looking for it, then you might have suspected now, with the benefit of a huge amount of hindsight and a huge amount of analysis, you look back and you go, well, was that really the way that it was, or was I looking at it the wrong way? But you don't go into these places, you don't go to stay with people looking for that.
You could not spend time around him. That was what they said. You could not spend time around him and not know.
The other aspect of this is that I live in an institution at Buckingham Palace which has members of staff walking around all the time. And I don't wish to appear grand, but there were a lot of people who were walking around Jeffrey Epstein's house. As far as I was aware, they were staff, they were people that were working for him or doing things. As it were, I interacted with them, if you want me to say good morning, good afternoon, but I didn't, if you see what I mean, interact with them in a way that was, you know, what are you doing here, why are you here, what's going on?
But you'd notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Buckingham Palace,
God.
wouldn't you?
But you would notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Jeffrey's house. Wasn't there. Not when I was there.
You matter. You matter and you matter. And for all the girls out there, you all matter too. Yes.
A message to other possible victims of Epstein still waiting in the shadows.
Jeffrey thought that we were disposable and he threw us all away. And look who's still standing.
Mark Stevens, where does this investigation, as it stands, go?
Well, I think what we're forgetting here, and what is often overlooked in the interview with Andrew, are the women, the victims. And in this particular case, given that there have been reports to the police on both sides of the Atlantic, the victims need to be remembered. They need to know the truth. They need to have a proper, full investigation, as Di Davis said.